I got to give you so much credit. If you're telling me that you're approving only 2 out of 200 franchise applicants, I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of them wash out on their own. But the fact is that you're approving, 1%. You're keeping your standards high.
Yeah, because it's that critical, right? And we're still doing a really great job on our expansion. Our
Hmm.
goal is 24 new families per year. I think last year we came in at 21. We're well on our pace to hit that this year, 24, and open 15 new schools per year. So I like that growth. We're staying ahead of the growth as far as the talent and the infrastructure. One, which is kind of unheard in the industry also, for every 10 schools, we have a franchise business consultant.
Hmm.
We want this relationship to be personal. We want it to be very hands-on. So the formula and the structure that we've put in place, I think, is very unique, and I think it's very powerful in really serving our franchise partners and our brand.
Hmm. What's your vision for the company overall? How big is big for you guys?
Well, of course, we have a 5-year plan, and that is to be at 160 schools open by the end of 2028, and we're right on pace for that.
And do I have it right? You're in 6 states right now?
We're hunting in 17 states right now.
Okay.
We just opened up Arizona and Colorado.
And so with 120 not open, how big, how many states are you going to be in, you think, after all those are open?
We can see 60 locations just in Texas, right? I mean, so I think right now we have 20 in development in just Texas alone. So I think, Frank, we're probably going to stay, national brand, kind of on the no need to really go to the West Coast. Maybe not my lifetime. Maybe once my children get here, maybe they might want to go that far. But for now, there's plenty of opportunity right here.
Richard, I think it's important for the audience to know that's listening to this, because most of our listeners are emerging founders. Either they franchise their company and they're in the grind, or they're looking to franchise their company. And I think it's worthy to note here that as they're listening to your story, to understand that I can see this across your face and how you come across. You're not under the pressure of having to open the next location. By having those corporate-owned locations, again, you mastered it, and you did something much different than most people. To be able to open that many company-owned locations well and franchise is definitely unique. But it's important to know for the audience that are starting out that you don't have to sell a franchise to keep the lights on. So you get to operate. You're in flow. You're in state. You get to do things freely and not feeling like you don't feel the pressure having to sell the next franchise. That's it. You're operating at a completely different frequency. Wouldn't you agree? When you don't have that kind of pressure.
Totally. And I think, you're right. I go to these emerging brands conferences and sit there, and this is what I know. And as you know, Frank, it takes a lot of capital to
Hmm.
get this up and running, because the capital requirement comes from a couple of different sources. It comes from, you got to market, right? We're probably spending close to $1 million a year in digital marketing, and you have to have the infrastructure. If you don't have those two things, then why would somebody want to be a part of this brand?
Sure.
So, like, again, we've been so fortunate with the 26 locations to already build the infrastructure, already having those dollars and those resources to really pour into, our franchise partners, and it's worked very,
Mhm.
very well for us.
What's your opinion on using franchise brokers and outside franchise sales organizations? What's your take?
Franchise brokers have been great fans of ours, and they really have helped us, promote the brand. I love using franchise partnerships.
Yeah, I guess it really depends on the goals for the founder and CEO on whether to use the outside broker groups and whether it's a right fit too. Do you guys sell franchises in-house, or do you use an outside organization?
We have outside, I think we have 4 outside franchise broker firms, and we have 3 in-house salespeople.
Okay, so right, so you sell franchises in-house through your, yeah.
Yes,
Okay, great.
absolutely.
Have you always done
Yeah.
it that way?
Yes. And as you mentioned, through the 2 out of 200, I mean, we've improved our vetting system tremendously. It comes in through Christina, who's I guess our vetter. I hate to use that word, but
Yeah,
they are
qualifier.
vetting qualifier. Thank you. the qualifier, then it goes to one of our sales reps. And we have a very thorough journey for our franchise partners. And again, we want to make sure that they fully understand what this business is about, what it's going to take, what the commitment's going to be. And then finally, it goes to Allison, our CEO, and our Lisa Bricker, our Chief Talent Officer, and they interview those potential franchise partners and put them basically through a competency interview that we know for a fact these are the competencies that they need. From there, it goes to a CEO call with me right before Meet the Team Day. I want to get to know them. I always say this is a relationship, not a transaction. So I want to know who you are. Why do you believe this is a great opportunity? And then we go to Meet the Team Day, which is really something unique and special. We have about 6 or 7 of our executive team in that room for that day. We don't leave that room. I know a lot of brands, the CEO comes in, gives his 5-minute talk and then leaves. I don't leave. I stay there. I want to get to know them. I want them to get to know me. And at the end of that Meet the Team Day, we both know whether this is an opportunity and whether we want to move forward or not.
What's been maybe the biggest challenge that you've had since you've franchised, and maybe a mistake that you made, and what did you learn from it?
It's never fast enough, right? So, I used to believe that patience was a nasty word. I'm starting to learn that patience is a very good thing.
Yes.
Sometimes it just takes time to really build out a team, take time to really build the processes, learn from the previous process, and just build it out. So no regrets. I learn every day, learning, because I'm a fanatic with, how do we make it better?
Right.
How do we make this process, we call them journeys, right? How do we make the award journey for our franchise partners better? How do we make our construction journey better? How do we make our real estate journey better? How do we make our operational journey better? So I think I could probably spend the rest of my life right there, Frank, just always in the mindset of how do we continue to get better and better and better, which ultimately brings more value for our franchise partners in their lives, and then ultimately brings, a better experience for our children that we care for.
Sure. When you got into franchising, did you add on a leadership team with a franchise background, or was your existing team? Okay, so that's the way you went.
It's so funny because I did that and I really didn't like what these new franchise people were saying. Like,
tell me, what were they
Richie,
saying?
Well, a lot of the franchise brands are very, we're going to manage from afar, and we're going to, hands off, but we're going to recommend, and we're going to recommend. No, we're not recommending anything. And the more I spoke to our franchise partners, they don't want recommendations. They want the answers to the experience that you've had for the last 26 years. And so I had to kind of drown that out a little bit and say, that's not the company we're going to be. We're going to be the company. I say this all the time, Frank. I'd rather you hate me for caring too much than hate me for not caring enough.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.